Astro weather for Saturday, the 14th of October. So this is quite a day. The eclipse is happening sort of in between, like 2 a.m. on the 15th. So, like tonight, as we start building towards it, the energy is going to start getting quite intense. So, overnight, like between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. on Saturday morning, there is a very annoying energy of an underlying issue that we'd rather ignore. So it's something that will need to be addressed. It's likely going to have something to do with how you show up in your family, and underlying emotions in relation to finding balance between how you achieve material comfort for yourself and for other people, and whether or not you are lacking it. So issues involving that are kind of under the surface, kind of bubbling away. So then at 8 a.m. we get a sextile between Lilith and Mars in Scorpio. Lilith is very active on the 14th, so just be aware of that. So Mars in Scorpio kind of is going to be bringing this secretive and intense and passionate kind of look at the way that we criticize and judge and haven't showed up for ourselves and others. And it's going to be quite comfortable. Scorpio is quite comfortable in taboo energy and in that dark side energy, and being in Mars, we're going to be, that's like masculine energy, so more logical kind of head energy. So it's a really good energy to be looking at these parts of our critical nature, because it is going to want us to be uncovering things that are living in the dark shadows. And Lilith, of course, being the dark void, being the dark side of our emotional state, does have quite a lot of things hidden in that space. So having Mars in Scorpio making a positive aspect with it will really help us bring up any sort of issues that we need to take action on, and maybe we will start seeing where we want to be able to start taking action, and see them from less of a shameful place. Bringing that Mars and Scorpio to Lilith is going to kind of bring us a little bit more comfortable with that dark side of our natures. At 11:14 a.m., we've got an aspect with Mercury and Saturn. So this is going to be a situation that something needs to change in. So you might receive some communication about a plan that needs to change because it's not going to work out in reality the way that you hoped it would work out when you were planning it. So then we get to 1:16 p.m. and we see that this is where the compromise needs to start being found. So, this is going to be, a serious kind of, perhaps someone's being stubborn. The situation, the idea that you had, the plan that you had, there's like an immovable force that doesn't want to come back against you. Or you want to, being Libra energy around, there might be a purchase that you want to make for the family, but you're coming up against either a budget or someone not agreeing. So there's going to be that compromise energy that needs to be taken in regards to that situation. And then at 3:15 p.m., we see Mercury making a semi-square aspect with Lilith. So these ideas that have come up under that Scorpio aspect of Lilith are really, we're going to start seeing some communication and some understanding on that. So it could be that you are in a social situation or in a relationship situation, and something's going to annoy you. Like the communication will be something that's quite triggering and quite annoying. And it could be somebody showing up maybe overly confident, somebody showing up in a place of ego, and it's likely to trigger us. And we need to remember when we're in this space that trigger is gold, and that the reason that we are seeing this aspect with Lilith is so that we are able to see where we are triggered in relation to somebody else showing up, because that is a message to our dark side of the moon, our dark side of our emotions, in how we project our own insecurities and our own judgment and critical natures, and how we project our own lack of showing up for ourselves onto other people. Okay, so that's 3:15. Then we have some kind of annoying, compromising, again, dealing with this situation. I feel like it will be dealing with this situation that's risen its head earlier in the day between like 4 and 7 p.m. Okay. Then Lilith makes another aspect. I feel like the annoying things that are going to be happening will be helpful to that communication that Mercury is going to bring to Lilith. So really try and stay present. Try not to let any kind of negative emotions like rage or sadness or depression block you from seeing what the lesson is that we are trying to see there, okay? Because it will be a communication or it will be an emotional situation coming up where we're being asked to kind of look between the delusion, all right? So then the moon makes a semi-square to Lilith at 7:19 p.m. on Saturday night. So this is going to be the emotional side of the issues that we have already seen throughout the day. So we've seen that first aspect where we're looking at it from that kind of emotional taboo dark side, and then a situation is going to occur that's going to trigger these things that we have already kind of brought up in our subconscious. And then when we get to 7:20 in the evening on Saturday, this aspect, this semi-square, is going to be the emotional outcome of what we have experienced during the day. So it's perhaps the kind of download into our bodies from our brain to our heart on how that trigger has emotionally affected us. And we'll be trying to find an understanding of it and trying to see it from both perspectives. So trying to see it through our head and our heart, trying to see it from maybe the other person involved and ourselves, okay? Then again, we have kind of an annoying little aspect at 7:30 again, going to sort of require us to make that change. So that plan that didn't work out earlier in the day, this is when we start going, oh, okay, I'll just do this instead. And we start feeling more empowered to just kind of roll with the energy of the universe instead of fighting up against it. Then at 8 p.m., we get a conjunction between Mercury and the moon. And this is really great energy for sort of downloading what's happened during the day, okay? This is like good communication energy because we're in Libra here. So we are able to see things from both sides, able to see things from a balanced point of view. So this is very good business energy because it puts us in all of the positions. We're quite mentally active so that we can see from a judgment perspective what's going to work and what's not going to work. So if you are planning, to get together with some people on Saturday night that could potentially help you with business, it might be a good time to have some conversations and to be able to communicate, because it will be sort of an emotionally driven conversation, but it will be from a point of everybody understanding what's going on. And just as we are building up to that eclipse, just remembering that all of these aspects as we build up to the eclipse are going to be intensifying. And the purpose of that is they are giving you hints on what the eclipse is going to bring for you. So you might even find that inside of that conversation about business or that idea that comes up on Saturday night, that could be an eclipse moment for some people where, eclipses being that fated an unexpected but fated event, unexpected but fated conversation or encounter. Okay, so we could come across somebody we wouldn't expect to come across who could help us with something, and it will be very instrumental in the rolling out of this eclipse energy that is here to transform who we are as people and the lives around us. So our material world as well as our internal world, being that we are dealing with Taurus and Scorpio, okay? So the eclipse takes part, so it's a solar eclipse, so we won't be able to see it here in Australia, but in Melbourne time, it will be at 2:03 a.m. So that's Sunday morning at 2:03 a.m. So Saturday night, we're rolling up towards it. So the energy will start getting quite electric. I don't know if anyone else has paid attention to eclipses before, but I have for the past few years. And as they build towards their moment of culmination, the energy gets quite thick, quite excited. So if you are out Saturday night, just be aware of that, particularly with our Pisces and Neptune energy around trying to push us into escapist tendencies, because these emotions that we're going to start feeling, particularly now that Mars is in Scorpio, are going to be very intense and very passionate. So just being aware that they're going to be a lot of emotionally driven people, and a lot of them will be experiencing quite intense events, whether they're internal or external. Everybody is going to be going through it. This is a huge eclipse culmination. I'm going to do another video on what it is trying to show us, or you can go back and watch my other videos about what it's closing out, okay? So just being kind to yourself and others with this eclipse energy rolling in, and try and ride the wave of chaos that it could bring for you. Okay, Pluto going direct as well, there's a lot of transformative energy around, so do expect to see some very unexpected, very strange, but very fated things happen this weekend. And if any of them are happening to you and you are questioning whether or not it's trying to teach you a lesson or show you a message or put you on the right path, the answer is yes, it is. Yes, it is trying to do those things. That is the purpose of it. So really be open to receiving whatever it is that the universal energy is trying to show us this weekend, okay? Because there are going to be some big changes. This is a weekend that people are going to be looking back at in a month's time, in a year's time, and realizing that that is when everything shifted. Okay, that is the energy we are dealing with here. So, you know, we're thinking, even if you look back at your own 2 years ago, okay, this is the energy of that's when it all started, or that's when it changed, or that's when I got that idea. Okay, so really be open to receiving anything that comes into you this weekend. And yeah, that's all I've got for you on Saturday. I'll see you tomorrow.